The air is still intense in this particular grove on this particular day. The woods are densely packed with the members of the Dawnscar tribe. It appears the whole community has gathered for this event. Their posture and demeanor are identical as the ceremony draws to its conclusion. Before the mass is a wooden pyre, their fallen chieftain lying upon it, motionless and shrouded in a golden blanket. The fabric appears to dance from the light of the torch held aloft by his daughter Neff. She stands ready as his battle brother, Garok, takes his place at the head of the crowd. The elder moves slowly back to the wooden dais and ornate podium. He passes Mobad, the Urag, who seems to meld with the darkness, but the flame Neff holds above her head reflects off his tears. The elder takes his place behind the pulpit and looks to Mobad, Garok, Neff, and finally to Tarak.
Garumsh! Hilnaval! Mailiki! Tempus! Eldath! Luthic! May you all feud over the soul of our fallen father, brother, chieftain. May he find peace to rival that which he had brought the Dawnscar clan, or may he find war to rival his ferocity and his might. To which fate Tarok the Blaze finds himself we shall never know, but we shall honor him here and now and forever forward in our hearts and our stories. Tarok the Blaze will not be forgotten. Tarok the Blaze to Acheron, to the infinite battlefield.
Neff lowers the torch to the pyre and steps back. Flames leap up, illuminating the grove, glimmering off the tears of the Orcs and Urogs in attendance. The fire dances across the sky as Tarak, the leader of the Dawnscar clan, broker of peace with the Hanali lineage, and unifier of the Silver Bells woods, becomes one with his namesake, becomes one with the blaze. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them.
Well, creatures, here we are again, but for the final episode in Orctober. It's been a topsy-turvy ride, and it is me, your co-host, Freeman, Noah's Orc Heiston, because you might be the only thing to keep me from drowning. Wait, am I supposed to read it that way?
You didn't need to read that at all.
Oh, sorry. It's got little notes in parentheses here. And who has those in parentheses? Well, of course, it's none other than my co-host, James Joan of Orc Kid, because I am prepared to be torched for this ep in parentheses. Not supposed to read those.
There's going to be some hot takes in this episode, I think.
Okay. So you're gonna get torched, and I'm gonna keep you from drowning. Although you kind of want to.
It is possible that I am going to say something very, very stupid and controversial and ignorant and.
Okay. All right. Even after everything we've been through, that's still a high risk, eh?
I think it's always a high risk when we handle delicate subjects as white men.
True, and there's almost no subject more delicate than a Wizards of the Coast stat block.
Yeah. So this is, as you mentioned, the final episode in Orctober, and the long-awaited stat block episode where I'm just going to say words and numbers and probably bore the pants off most of you, but some of it's really cool.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you guys are longtime listeners or what have you, or even first-time ones, if you particularly stick around for the lore and the story and the banter and the laughter, but not so much the numbers, this might be the one to skip. At least,
well, right up until the ad break. After the ad break, we're gonna do something a little special.
Fast forward to the ad break if you can find it.
Fast forward to the ad break.
But otherwise, for those of you who love to follow along, take a look at Monster Manual pages 244 to 247, and Volo's Guide to Monsters 183 to 185. Oh, excuse me, burp.
All right. So we are going to start with the monster manual, and we are going to start with the base orc. I have given you the images of the orcs through the editions in the Discord there, and the 1E one makes me very, very happy.
Kind of looks like humanoid pig lizards.
Yeah, they're just pikemen with pig heads.
Yeah,
they're fantastic.
Pretty much.
The 2E is definitely a little more goblinoid than I had expected, including the little full shield buckler and the dagger there.
Yeah, it's got a bit of a troll-esqueness to it as well. A trollblin, if you will.
I can see that. The 3E is where they kind of start to become the orcs we think of today, but without the tusks still. Those come in the 4E art, and that is...
They've got some protruding ivories there, but not like proper big ol'... stereotypical tusks.
I totally missed those altogether. Yeah. Okay, good catch.
Got a very, very flat, broad nose.
Yeah.
Not much bridge going on.
Almost bat-ish.
Big time, yeah. And the 4E art's great. It's just a whole bunch of them running through the forest, looking nasty.
They are thick boys.
Yeah.
Like this looks like they were drawn by a comic artist in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like just legs made of wrought iron. Like there are muscles in those legs that I've never seen before.
Muscles unique to the orc. And then the 5E art's just great.
Yeah, the proportions are a little off to give it more of a hulking, brutish feel. Like its legs are a little bit smaller than they should be. Its arms are a little bit longer than they should be.
Right.
It's almost in what we would refer to as a heroic scale, but it's not quite. It's just out of proportion.
It's got the strongest jawline I've ever seen in my life.
Its whole face is jawline.
Yeah. He's like, what is that bone on the ground? Oh, that's an orc skull. Man, he's all jawline. What the hell? Yeah, really cool. Great detail on that piece of art.
I really like the 5e one.
Yeah.
The colors, the shading, I think it's all done really well.
And it's a gray-skinned orc in this case, which I mean, in my head, it's the less likely of me to think of. I always think green skin. But I always like the gray skin look.
As far as I know, in Forgotten Realms, the gray skin is the most common because they are mountain orcs. Yeah.
Cool. Good
I am prepared to be corrected on that one, but...
There's your first controversial remark of the date.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, neat little pictures aside, let's talk about the orc.
So your generic orc, the horde body orc, is a CR 1/2, 15 HP, 13 AC, medium, chaotic evil with a movement speed of 30 feet. Pretty straightforward.
1/2?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
None of these creatures have the CR that I feel like they should have.
I know we're going to go through a variation of CR levels here, and of course some of them need to be lower, but the base, given what we know about the lore, it seems weird that the baseline orc troop would be only 1/2. You'd think they at least would go toe-to-toe with a level 1 party with just one of them, to some degree.
I would hope so, but that's unfortunately not the case. They are stronger than commoners who are essentially a CR0, but that's about it, which is I wish they were like 2 or 3, but
Yeah. I would literally be happy if it was just one.
with.
I wouldn't be, half just seems odd. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if it was one, but half seems very strange.
Yeah.
But regardless, what else they got?
They know common and orc, dark vision, 60 feet. All covered in the lore episode.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing there to really write home about. Their stats, they have a strength of 3 and a con of 4. Those are the big ones. They have a -2 intelligence to reflect that unintelligent, brutish nature.
Mm-hmm.
They have one ability called aggressive. We're going to cover it this once and then just gloss over it.
It's going to repeat a lot, is it?
Yeah, I think at almost every stat block. So as a bonus action, they can move up to half of its speed towards a hostile creature that it can see.
Oh,
Which
okay.
is a solid bonus action. Like,
Yeah.
Your movement speed is effectively 45 feet.
Didn't Knowles have something similar to that, or at least one of them did? Something in November, I thought, had something similar to that.
Probably, yeah. Anything that is designed to act as a group or combat as a group tends to have either something that triggers a reaction and an extra attack, or that gives them the opportunity to move around the battlefield.
Right.
Because at one half, you are going to be felling orcs left, right, and center. So it makes sense that they can swarm over and move around the battlefield. They have 2 attacks to complement this aggressive ability. First is a Great Axe, which is a +5 to hit, 1d12 +3 slashing. The other attack is a Javelin +5, 1d6 +3 piercing, and then the usual Javelin stats.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay.
That's Orcs and 5e. We will see you in 2 weeks, listeners.
That's your. Well, thank you for listening to the Orc Pleb episode. Yeah, altogether quite boring. Cool. Make listeners, make yourselves a CR1. Just bump up everything a little bit. Call it a day.
That's pretty much what I would do, but we'll see how that actually changes at a couple of the stat blocks a little bit further down. So the next one is a War Chief, which is a CR4, 93 HP and AC 16, which is chainmail. So their AC's gone up by 3, their HP's gone up pretty aggressively. They're still medium chaotic evil, 30 feet, speak common and orc, 60 feet dark vision.
All right.
To reflect their extra strength, we see strength bumped up to 4. And the intelligence is raised from -2 to 0, and their charisma is bumped to 3 to reflect their ability to lead. Mm-hmm. These are modifiers that I'm going to be speaking in. I'm not going to be speaking in the base stats.
Yeah. Not scores, modifiers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So they have, they're a little stronger, they're a little smarter, they're a little more charismatic, and they get the metal armor.
More charismatic.
They get the metal armor instead of the hide armor. Fancy. Tell me, are they aggressive?
They are, yeah. And they also come with, as promised in the Orc lore, Groomsh's Fury, which is their second ability. So when they attack, they just straight up deal an extra 1d8 when they hit with weapon attacks. And this is actually included in the stat block in the monster manual. I've broken it out for this episode for reference purposes. But
Got ya. So when you see the stat block in the monster manual, the Great Axe is listed as 1d12 plus 1d8 plus 3?
Plus 4, yeah.
Plus 4, okay, cool. Sweet, cool.
So their first attack is a multi-attack, which
needs no explanation at this point.
Yeah.
Them am attack twice.
Yeah, this one is specified like some of them are. It's either 2 Great Axe or 2 Spear. Mm-hmm. So their Great Axe is +6 to hit, 1d12 plus that 1d8 Fury +4 plus slashing. Mm-hmm. They have a Spear attack, which is also +6 to hit. It is 1d6 +4 piercing, or versatile 2d8 +4.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, I mean, you can't wield a Great Axe and a Spear at the same time. So that's why it's 2 of one or 2 of the other. Plain and simple.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Makes sense.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. And again, each one of those attacks gets the 1d8 Groomsh's Fury. They have one more attack. It is called the Battle Cry, and this is a once per day action. So each creature of the Chief's choice within 30 feet that can hear it and is not already affected by a battle cry gains advantage on attack rolls until the start of the War Chief's next turn. In addition, the Warchief can make an attack as a bonus action.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So you can just cry out in Groomsh's name, stomp your foot 3 times, try and get rid of any bad magic, give all of your orc boys an extra attack that round, and then make an attack yourself.
Yeah, that's my brain just went straight to Knowles again, where it was like they had something where one of them could like scream whatever, and all the other smaller Knowles could just get an attack right then, right, which was fucking crazy. So this is like a sort of variation on that. You're getting attack rolls, and you're offering an additional attack as a bonus action within the next round or so. That's pretty cool. That's actually pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah, it's an extra attack dice, so it's advantage on their attacks, not an instant attack, but yeah, it's very, very similar to the Knoll ability.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like it. It's cool how they're effectively doing the same thing, but there's enough variation in there for them to feel different and have a different feel of threat and that sort of thing. Yeah, cool.
Next on the list is the Eye of Groomsh. They are a CR2, HP 45, and AC 16, which is a ringmail and a shield. The rest of their stuff is the same. They have a 3 strength and a 3 cons. They're a little bit weaker. A -1 intelligence, so they're a little smarter than your average orc, and a +1 wisdom and +1 charisma.
Do you imagine the wisdom and the charisma, the slight boost in those must come from the fact that they sacrificed the eye, you know?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah. Perhaps Groomsh bestows a bit of wisdom, but the charisma, it's probably not even that they're more charismatic, is that they're just more respected for what the sacrifice they've made and the blessing that's been bestowed upon them.
Yeah, and this is the easiest way to reflect that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's a great way to look at it. So, abilities. They are aggressive.
Oh,
they also have Groomsh's Fury.
Okay.
Because if we remember in the lore, the eyes of Groomsh appears to them and has them pull out their eyes. So they also are granted his Fury.
Cool.
And they have spellcasting.
Fancy.
They are 3rd level spellcasters. Their DC is 11, and it's +3 to spell attacks. Their list is fine, I guess. if you want to be fucked with it, it's it's very cleric heavy. Bless, command, augury, spiritual weapon.
Right.
So it's fine.
Yeah. Resistance, guidance. Yeah. Cool. Spiritual weapon's pretty cool. That can be a really good spell.
Spiritual weapon is a great spell. It is very overpowered for a 2nd level spell.
Yeah, it's awesome. So cool. But that's it, eh? Like spear attack. Following that.
Yes, as we talked about in the lore episode, sometimes they just go batshit insane and want to get up close and personal, so they do have a spear. It is pretty much the same, 1d6 +3 piercing, and fury. It can also be thrown, and it's versatile, and it's a +5 to hit. Nothing wild. Those are your vanilla monster manual level orcs.
Yeah, they really don't live up to the. I mean, they do live up to the lore, but the lore is so much cooler than the stat block. In this case, yeah.
We're about to touch the Volos ones, which are substantially more interesting.
Cool.
And we'll get into why I actually like how plain the monster manual ones are. After that, remind me to get into that.
No, sure. Because my guess right now is that they all across the board, the Eye of Groomsh, the Warchief, and the base orc, they are just meant to be in a horde or an army or what have you, in a battalion.
Yeah.
Like that's so very clear. You're not really meant to like face any of these one-on-one or even just like 2 of them. You know, like a Warchief and an Eye of Groomsh and 1 orc, like 1 of each. Like it's just not, no. Like you're meant to fight these in droves to a degree.
Yeah, they're chaff for sure. Yeah. Whereas the Volos orcs are more specialists or veterans.
Yeah. At this point, I have to wonder if we're actually done the Monster Manual orcs. I wonder how disappointed the average fan was when the Monster Manual came out, and they're kind of like, "Oh, that's it? Really? Like, these guys are kind of boring." But then Volo's guide comes along, and they're like, "Finally!"
That's how I felt. To be honest with you, I get really excited for like horde armies like that, like gnolls, goblins, orcs. I like using them as swarms in 5e because it's a really easy way to overwhelm the PCs. Because again, as I'm sure we've told our listeners enough, that these are it may be on a D20 system, but these games are action economy oriented. So as soon as you outnumber the PC's action economy with enemies, they are going to start going down very, very quickly. So throwing a bunch of, orcs or hobgoblins at the PC is a really quick way to overwhelm them and make them feel that sense of dread, because you just start slicing through orcs and you're tired and you lose spell slots and you feel that exhaustion, that drain.
Yeah, I mean, no arguments here. That's for sure. What's Volo's got for us?
Volos, as I said, has all the cool ones. We will start with the Blade of Ilnaval, and these are the orcs that have dedicated themselves to Groomsh's right hand, Ilnaval, the tactician. They are a CR4, HP 60, and AC 18 with chainmail.
Okay.
All their other stuff is the same. Strength, Dex, Con are all the same. They have a 1 Wisdom and 2 Charisma. Their intelligence isn't higher, but their wisdom is, and I think that's where the tactics are reflected, is in wisdom.
Okay.
I do not agree with that, but that's fine.
Rely more on instinct than forethought.
Yeah, which is picture. Not what tactics are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. Fair enough. Well, no one's... has anyone said that they are extraordinarily tactical, though, or just that they're the most tactical of orcs?
I guess it's the most tactical of orcs, yeah. Which kind of sucks.
But are they aggressive?
They are.
Oh, okay.
Yep, they are. And they also have their version of Groomsh's Fury, and it's called the Foe Smiter of Ilnaval. They just straight up deal an extra damage die when using a longsword, which is also built into the stat block.
Okay, cool, sweet. So they just get doubled up damage die. That's pretty fun. Terrifying, actually.
They also have multi-attacks, so they get 2 melee attacks with the longsword or 2 ranged attacks with the javelin. If their other attack, called Ilnaval's Command, is available to use, they can use it after these attacks.
Okay, I would like to hear what that is.
Yeah, so the longsword is +5 to hit. It is versatile, basic longsword stats, but double up your die. Javelin is a javelin, double up your die, so 2d6 +3.
Yeah,
fine. Ilnaval's Command is a recharge on a 4 to 6.
Okay.
Up to 3 allied orcs within 120 feet that can hear can then use the reaction to make 1 weapon attack. So there's your null ability right there.
Yeah, the reactions. I forgot about that part of the action economy. That makes sense. Cool. I swear every time this comes up, I'm going to ask it, though. The recharge system. Do you roll for the recharge the moment you've used the ability, or is it like at the start of your next turn?
I
always
roll it on the start of my next turn.
Okay.
I don't know why it would recharge that round. So if you want to do it correctly, it probably recharges at the top of the round, but it's an attack, so it doesn't. I roll it when they come up in the order.
Almost nothing really. That's like a very common misconception. Almost nothing actually resets at the top of the round unless it happened at the top of the round. Like, the top of the round is just an indicator that 6 seconds has passed since the last top of the round, and nothing really anymore. Most effects that happen on a turn reset on the next same character or creature's turn.
Or in D&D 5e parlance, they reset on the initiative count of 20 almost always.
Right, yeah.
For like legendary actions or lair actions.
Yeah, or some traps and that sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, in this case, so yeah, okay, cool. I was just like have a hard time wrapping my head around what works the best or what's the most efficient or most balanced for recharge. So it's like you would roll a d6, correct? And then if it lands on a 4, 5, or 6, then it's recharged essentially.
Yeah, and they can use it again that turn.
And okay, so it makes sense to me that you would do it at the start of their turn, just to see. Oh, do they have it this time? Roll. Yes, they do. Okay, cool. I can use it. I like that.
Yeah, which is a reflection of their tactician abilities. I guess is how that's supposed to go
for sure. All right, cool. So
which is good. As an ability, I like it. I like that it's a recharge ability. I really like recharge abilities. I don't know why.
Yeah, they can be fun for sure. Well, that's a solid little CR4. I'm reasonably happy with that. I like the Foe Smiter extra damage die. I like the Ilnaval's Command. Yeah, I'm for it.
Yep, it's fine. The Orc Claw of Luthic is up next. These are the ones that grow their nails all lifelong and paint them black in hopes that Luthic will bless them with iron claws. Ooh. They are a CR2, 45 HP, 14 hide armor.
Okay.
They are a little bit weaker across board with a 2 strength, but they do have a 2 dex as up from 1 and a 2 wisdom. So that's not bad at all. And guess what?
What?
They're aggressive.
No kidding. These guys?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure. Yeah. They are also 5th level spellcasters with a DC of 12 and +4 to their spell attacks.
Okay.
Their list kind of sucks. Bane, Cure Wounds, and Guiding Bolt are fine.
Mm-hmm.
The third, and then the next 2, second and third level spells are all just
flavor spells,
defense spells.
Yeah,
I guess. Well, but Bestow Curse isn't a flavor spell. Neither is Warding Bond, but it's
augury and create food and water. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's kind of meh.
Yeah. But they do have multi-attack, which is pretty great. They make 2 attacks with their claws, or if they have less than half HP, which in this case is 22, they make 4 attacks, which reflect that angry, cornered cave bear.
I like that. That's kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it that this is the one creature they brought back the bloodied mechanic from 4E from.
I was just about to say something with that. I was like, oh man, if you're using the bloodied mechanic, he's like, oh yeah, you've bloodied him. And everyone's like, yeah. Now that he's bloody, he's going to attack you 4 times. Fuck! I love that.
I guess bloody's more of a status condition than a mechanic, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just an indicator of, you're about halfway there or some such, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, it has a mechanical value to it. It's great.
That's true, yeah. So I didn't misspeak. Their claw attack is pretty weak. It's +4 to hit, and it is 1d8 +2 slashing. So, again, kind of doing 2d8 per turn. Mm-hmm. Fine, I guess. For a CR2 that can also cast Cure Wounds, that's not bad.
Yeah, pretty all right at the end of the day. Bestow Curse can be a real downer too. It can really fuck with your day.
As a GM, if I'm running a horde army, I am never going to cast Bestow Curse. It is too much work.
You're not wrong.
I love that spell as a player because it's too much work.
Yeah.
But as a GM, when I'm fielding 6 claws of Luthic, 3 blades of Ilnavals, 100 orcs, 4 war chiefs, like I'm not stopping to figure out what Bestow Curse is going to do.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's not happening. If there's one claw of Luthic in a really small warband, like we've already suggested not using, it might work. But maybe now that small warband works better.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah. And we have a photo of the Claw of Luthic from Bull's Guide there.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
The claws / fingernails are much more realistic than Luthic's herself.
Oh yeah.
And they look terrifying. So that's pretty cool.
And up next we have the Orc Hand of Urtrus. These are the ones that make the gloves out of elf skin.
Terrifying bastards.
They are also a CR2, 30 HP, 12 hide. They understand Common and Orc, but cannot speak it because if you remember, Urtrus does not speak.
Crazy. That translates right over, eh?
Their stat block is pretty hardcore diminished. So they have a strength of 1, a con of 3, a dex of 0, 2 wisdom, but a -1 to charisma.
Okay.
However, they're aggressive, so don't worry.
Oh, okay. I was worried. I was getting concerned there with the no speak.
They are somehow 4th level spellcasters. DC 12 +4 attacks, and all of their spells require no verbal components.
Oh, okay. I mean, they kind of would have to, wouldn't they?
Their spell list is actually much better. Much, much better.
Oh,
it includes Bane, Inflict Wounds, Blinded, Deaf, and Silence.
Oh.
So they are very much like a necromantic controller. Like these are the guys who are going to be standing in the back.
That's pretty fun. I like that. Blindness, deafness, and silence are pretty useful utility spells.
Yeah. So is Bane and Inflict Wounds is a solid damage dealer.
Yeah, if you get up at front in one of these things, it's gonna inflict wounds on you because that's a touch spell, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty all right. Much better than the other two, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And they actually have one attack in case they get up close and personal and they run into spell slots. It is called Touch of the White Hand. Ugh. It is a +3 to hit to reflect their weakened state, but it does 2d8 necrotic damage.
There's always something so off-putting about the word necrotic damage. Yeah, creepy. They are creepy little bastards, aren't they?
They are. And next we have the nurtured ones of Yurtris. These are the cattle, the holy cattle. They are also CR 1/2, 30 HP, 9 AC, same. Chaotic, evil, 60 feet dark vision. They have a strength of 2, a dex of -1 because they're filled with pestilence. Mm-hmm. They have an intelligence of -2 because they're dead, and a charisma of -2 because they're covered in boils. we got a photo from Volos here for you.
Oh, jeez. They're ugly.
Yeah, there's something very Nurgle-esque about those guys.
Yeah. He's got arrows all in him.
Well, it's probably because he's also aggressive.
I was going to say, he looks it.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he's about to give you a hug. Or if he is, it's a bad kind of hug.
It is a bad kind of hug. So they have another ability called Nurtured One of Yurtris. They have advantage on saves versus poison and disease. I'm kind of ticked that they're not just straight up immune, but they are only CR 1/2.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess.
And their last ability is my favorite ability of this whole lot. It's called Corrupted Carrier. When it's reduced to 0 HP, it just straight up explodes. Mm-hmm. It is a DC 13 con save, 10-foot radius. On a failure, you take 4d6 poison and you are poisoned. On a success, you take half that and you're not poisoned. If you become poisoned, you can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns, eventually ending its effect.
Okay.
When you are poisoned via this Corrupted Carrier ability, you cannot regain HP. Period.
Damn. Ooh, wow. Okay, wrapping my head around it now. Failed, poisoned, success, not poisoned, still damage. But if you are poisoned, you get every turn, so it's it's not too bad. But big ol' but, because oh man, because if 4d6 is not a small amount for a fucking CR half creature. Hot damn. And 10-foot radius, yeah, that's a big ball of danger in that 10-foot radius. That's pretty gnarly. 30 HP too.
It actually gets better.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So they have a couple of attacks on the stat block.
Okay.
Their first attack is a claw. It's a +4 to hit, but it does 1d4 +2 slashing and 1d4 necromantic. Mm-hmm. Their other attack is called Corrupted Vengeance. The orc reduces itself to 0 HP, regardless of where it started, and it explodes.
So I can just do it on its own terms.
Yep. Doesn't have to wait for you.
Oh, Jesus. What I love about this is that, it's easy to hit, but it's got HP of 30. So it does very much depend on when you're encountering this creature or what level the group is at. But depending on how many of these are on the battlefield at a time, it's very possible for a good number of them to get in close and not be killed right away with 30 HP. It's very, very possible. Because in Rime of the Frostbane, we're at level 6 right now or something like that.
Yep.
And I've yet to deal 30 HP in one hit at level 6.
I don't know if that's entirely true because you're a rogue.
Yeah, but I do the most damage on a single hit, usually just on a single hit. So I mean per turn, I guess, because with the barbarian in the group, they've likely exceeded 30 in one go, no problem. But that's with extra attack, right? So just like imagining this scenario where a one walks in and someone says, I'll hit that one. But then someone's like, oh, I'll fire off at that one. And then someone's like, oh, I'll fire off at that one and I'll control these ones. And there's several of them and everyone's kind of picking a different target. And that's almost a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Because
you could TPK a level 3 party.
Yeah, because if everyone kind of does that, and then the next round comes in and they all just continue to rush you and explode on their own terms. Oof, that keeping them at a distance is the most key thing you can do, and really cool. So far, I think that's my favorite stat block.
Yeah. So awesome. It's mine for sure.
Yeah.
Because, these things can just straight up move 45 feet around.
Crazy. Yeah, they are just gunning for it.
Because of the aggressive, so they can just fly in there. You know, if they wanted to double move, we're looking at 75 feet around before you possibly even get a strike off. And then it gets in there, and it's got to be within 10 feet of somebody in the party.
Yeah.
Like, you just run them into the middle of your cluster of a party. Like, this is the one time, I think, in a combat where you spread the fuck out.
Yeah, spread out, run away, range attacks. That's what you got. Hot damn. Yep. Cool. Really cool, actually. I'm actually quite pumped about that because they are the ones that caught my ear the most in the Orc lore episode, and I'm really happy to see that they really live up to the terrifying nature. Even though they're a CR half, they are terrifying. It's probably a prime example of whether or not that CR is appropriate.
It's not.
Probably
These
not.
guys shouldn't be a CR
Definitely
2,
not.
I think.
Yeah. It's like they're a CR half simply because they didn't want them to make them higher than the actual orc itself.
I think so, yeah.
That's got to be it.
Because their AC is only 9, and I guess that makes sense, but
yeah,
they still have a con of 13, so, like, what is an orc's natural armor? I guess we could actually do the math on that. We're not going to, but we could. The last one on the list is the Red Fang of Shargas.
Yes.
These are a CR 3, HP 52, and AC 15 studded leather. All of their senses and shit are the same. Because Orc's gonna Orc. They have a 0 strength, a 3 dex, and a 2 con. So drop in strength, drop in con, massive bump in dex. They have an intelligence of -1, so bump in intelligence, and a charisma of -1, which is a drop in charisma from your standard Orc.
They are the rogues, as you said.
Bet they are. Check out this photo. There's one climbing up a wall, riding a bat.
Wait, sorry. No, hold up. That's one riding a bat that is climbing up a wall.
Sorry, other way around.
Get your order of operations right.
Oh, we chef.
Thank you for speaking French in my kitchen. That is a badass piece of art, though. Holy shit. Yeah. Really, really cool. It didn't really occur to me to think about them riding bats in the night. But it's so cool.
No, me either. But it's fantastic.
Great.
We have more than a couple abilities here, so let's dig into those.
Okay.
The first one is Cunning Action, which
classic.
You must be intimately familiar with. Bonus action to disengage, dash, or hide. That is classic rogue.
Straight up confirmation is rogue.
Their next one is the Hand of Shargas, and they deal an extra 2 damage die when they hit with a weapon, which is reflective of the sneak attack.
Yep. Okay. Cool. But they just get it straight up without having to do sneak attack. So
pretty much
uber rogue. Okay. Gotcha. Damn.
They have one called Shargas's Sight. Magical darkness does not impede their dark vision. And they have the ability Slayer. In the first round, it has advantage on attacks versus creatures that haven't acted yet. Any hits are critical hits.
Hold on. I feel like I didn't register that at all. In the first round, it has advantage on attacks versus creatures that haven't acted yet. And any hits are critical hits.
Yep.
Whoa. That took a sec to sink in. Whoa. That's big. That's real big.
This is a CR3 creature.
So I have some homebrew ideas for my rogue in Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Just wondering if you have an open mind at all. Holy shit. And this is a CR2?
3.
3?
It's not better.
The same? Yeah. What? That's fucked. They
have multi-attack, if that makes you feel any better.
And, okay, critical hits in 5e, your sneak attack damage, per se, quote unquote, is not included, correct? You don't double that. Or do you? I don't.
You're the one who plays a rogue. You should know this.
Yeah, it's usually Michael who corrects me, though.
I want to say that it's not, but I think it's just all doubled in 5e.
Yeah, I also want to say that it's not, because if it is, holy absolute shit. But I feel like I'm reasonably sure it's not. Whoa. That is crazy.
Yeah, you do double the rogue sneak attack dice.
You do?
Yeah.
What the hell? So we're looking at, in the first round of combat, they have advantage on their attacks, which, jumping ahead just slightly, makes for a 3d6 plus 9 on a critical hit each time they hit in that first round. Or it's a 3d6 plus 3 times 2. Sorry. That's what I totally fucked that up. Sorry, I'm overwhelmed, okay?
And they get 2 attacks because they have multi-attack. So if they hit you twice, you could be looking at
66 plus 6 times 2, more or less. Fuck. That is an insta-gib. That is going to knock somebody out hard, like real fast. I don't know. I can't remember if there's massive damage rules in 5e. I don't think there are, but
they're optional massive damage rules.
Because that's crazy. And the only thing saving you from that, realistically, is the death saving throw system, and the assumption that if you go down, they're not necessarily going to continue attacking your unconscious body.
Yeah, and normally you'd be correct, but these rogues are, as we've established in the abilities, slayers. So if I were to play it, it would absolutely put you down and then slide a dagger in just to make sure.
Yeah,
because that's what they do. They're trained to be spies and assassins.
Like John Wick double tapping as he goes. Yeah, that's a surefire way to kill a player early. Crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to be misunderstanding this. Like, it's right. Like,
I mean,
this can't be factually correct. There's got to be something we're missing here. But
that's so much. Crazy.
But sneak attack damage does, in fact, double on crits.
Wild.
And, I mean, this isn't technically sneak attack damage. So maybe that's it.
Right. They get 2 extra damage die when they hit with a weapon. It's a very, very uncomfortable gray area.
Yeah, and this is my shorthand. I normally have our books open, but they're packed for our big-ass D&D session tomorrow.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
I can't even confirm that wording.
Yeah.
But
still, if whoever's following along,
you double the damage die, or you roll your damage twice, which would include these extra weapon damage dice. So like, that's big.
It is big. It ain't small.
They also have a dart, which is 1d4. Why even bother? I guess it's their ranged attack.
It's part of their multi-attack, right? So
yeah. No, it's specifically 2 scimitar or 2 dart.
Okay. They can still get their slayer and stuff on the dart as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have one last attack here. It's called Veil of Shadows. It recharges after a rest because all of your villains end up getting rests.
Yes.
At any time, they can cast darkness with no components using wisdom as their spellcasting ability.
Oh, God. It's just, why didn't they just... Why doesn't it just say once per day?
Once per day.
Yeah. After a rest. Oh, wizards. Continuity is not your forte.
No.
Oh my God. That's so funny. All right.
So that's it.
The nurtured one's still my favorite, but that one's terrifying.
Yeah, and so lore as written you would never use a Red Fang of Shargos in combat, like
Right.
in a swarm of orcs. Like these, they would only ever act together because they are shunned by the rest of the
You'd
group.
be walking down a cobblestone road at night, and something would lure you into the dark alley that's more dark than usual, and you can't quite figure out why, but you've had a couple of drinks, so you don't question it too much. Knife in your back. Sorry, scimitar to the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Or dart to the neck. Oh, God, what's happened? And you're down.
Maybe you should write the expositions for this. Yeah.
Kind of beautiful when you put it that way, Freeman. Hell of a thing. Yeah, cool.
Speaking of late night needing a drink. Oh, it's time for that ad break.
Oh, please crack that can for moi.
Oh, I did, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nothing spells darkness recharging after a rest. Like black veil stouts.
I was going to suggest maybe we don't plug Strange Fellows in this episode because of what's about to happen. Maybe they don't want their brand name associated with some of the shit that I'm about to say.
They're not listening. We know that much.
That's actually true. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
listeners. I'm gonna turn my chair around backward like a high school guidance counselor and get real with you for a second.
Sit down with Commander Riker and
1 foot up on the chair while I stroke my beard. We're going to we're gonna get real with you for a second here. We don't normally do this, but there's such a lot of controversy around orcs in fantasy, as well as other evil races. We don't want to just single out orcs here, but we're going to because this is a suite on orcs, and that's kind of the entire purpose of the suite. There are a lot of problems with painting a race with a single swath of personality traits and emotional traits, and it really shines through, particularly in the way that Wizards of the Coast have done it. We mentioned some of it briefly in our first episode of the suite, and we touched on it a little bit as well in that episode about how Tolkien had actually walked it back a little, but not as much as is correct, because most of the races in D&D 5e are thinly veiled analogs for races in our world, and the brutish, hulking, savage orcs that will just breed with anything are racist stereotypes and tropes that exist in our culture. And because that analog is so thin, and that sheet that they've kind of pulled over it to mask racism as something that's justified because of the race's predisposition to evil, isn't okay. Racism is never okay, and there are some things that we're gonna dig in a little bit deeper here and talk about because they need to be addressed. Mm-hmm. So if you think we're bleeding hearts or social justice warriors, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but we believe that these things need to be touched on, and we have a platform, and it's our job to do that. We're just gonna do a quick little summary of things that have happened specifically in 5e. We're not going to touch any of the earlier editions, but here is just a quick summary of what we've discussed in the orc lore, and that's from the monster manual. Old school orcs. These are what orcs have been in culture since Lord of the Rings came out. They're dumb, they're hulking, they're brutish, they're chaotic evil, they're savages is how they're described quite often. They pillage and raid villages, and they take what they need, and they burn what's left. In Vol's Guide to Monsters, they become way more interesting and intrinsic as a populace, but they're still quite dumb. Even the smartest of them, as we saw with the Blade of Ilnival, only have an intelligence of -1. Mm-hmm. So in that, in Volos, on page 120, there's a section about creating an orc as a player. And we mentioned a line in it in orc lore, but this one also really stands out, and it's regarding alignment. It says that orcs are vicious raiders who believe that the world should be theirs. They also respect above all else. They also respect strength above all else, and believe that the strong must bully the weak to ensure that weakness does not spread like a disease. They are usually chaotic evil.
that is specifically for playing an orc as a PC.
Yeah.
And they don't walk back from what orcs are. They basically tell you, play an orc as an orc.
Well, more importantly, it says bully the other players at the table.
Right. Now, alignment is an incredible subject that a lot of people argue about and differ on. And just because something is chaotic evil does not automatically make you a murder hobo. And that is a very common misconception. However, you're right. It's like with everything else added to that, it's pushing you towards being chaotic evil, but everything that leads up to that moment as well is what you're saying. I'm probably about to say. You are encouraged to bully.
Yeah.
A party member that's not physically strong. It's you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. You continue.
Yeah. Next up, we have Tasha's. And they have a little article on customizing origins, and it's a typical character race in D&D includes little to no choice. A lack that can make it difficult to realize certain character concepts. So with this book and this line, we can see it's pretty clear that Wizards does see a problem with some of the stuff they've produced, but they do not address issues specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So just for a little bit of confirmation, the Player's Handbook was released in 2014. The Monster Manual was also released in 2014. Volo's Guide to Monsters was released in 2016. Xanthar's was 2017. And Tasha's was November 17th, 2020. So they've had a lot of time. These aren't new issues. They've been forefront issues for at least those years. So they've had all the time in the world to take another look at this and redesign it, but they've stuck to their guns because of pedigree and history, I can only imagine, which is troubling. Mm-hmm. So we have a couple of great articles here that I want to talk about. The first is from April 27th in 2020 by Christian Hoffer of comicbook.com. We'll have this article linked in the show notes, of course, but it outlines the casual racisms from Volo's Guide to Monsters, specifically the passage we touched on in Orc lore regarding their limited capacity for love and emotion. He goes on to talk about how they're clearly inspired by Tolkien's orcs, and then he states that the difference is that Tolkien included, albeit not in his books, that orcs are not evil. Only the subset that the Fellowship encountered are evil orcs, but orcs can actually be found on either side of any conflict, and they're not strictly an evil race. Just the ones that appear in that book are evil.
Cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. So again, those were in the letters that were found and published later.
Yeah.
Whereas in D&D and many other TTRPGs, because it's not wizards who are continuing to propagate this stereotype. They are a strictly evil race. It is like we've gone through it. We've gone through their lore. We've gone through their stat blocks. We've gone through creatures that are related to them. They are a strictly evil race.
We didn't mention it, but every stat block was included with the chaotic evil alignment. Every single one.
Yeah.
Automatically. Yeah.
Exactly. And to show that in Volo's Guide to Monsters is really challenging, especially with the -1 to intelligence, which Christian Hoffer goes on to point out that no matter what happens, like no matter how you build an orc, the smartest orc will always be dumber than the smartest human, which is, in fairness, walked back a bit in Tasha's with the custom racial scores.
Right.
But it's still a good point, and it's a prescient point. This was made in April 27th of 2020. So this was, 5 months before Tasha's came out. Or 7 months, however long it was. Yeah. We have another article from June 25th of 2020 from the Globe and News by Josh K. Elliott. It was a widely circulating article. I couldn't find the original author. It was also found on Forbes by Danny DePlacido. And it interviews an unidentified source from Wizards who has states that the company will be putting an effort into changing these depictions going forward and pledged to take a more nuanced approach to make these evil races just as complex as other populations. So this is where I do point out that article on June 25th was written 5 months prior to the publishing of Tasha's, and it still isn't realized. So yes, they acknowledge that there's an issue here. They had an opportunity to do something about it, and they just kind of meh.
Yeah. I recall very specifically hearing a lot about that when Tasha was on the way out, and there was a lot of hullabaloo and hype, and People were very excited and but also anxious about whether or not they were going to address it. And I didn't know about that particular article, but maybe that was something that had bolstered people's hope. And when it dropped, there very much was a disappointment that I came across.
Yeah, and again, in all fairness, there has clearly been an effort put in since Tasha's, particularly in Rime of the Frost Maiden with gnolls and kobolds. It's not done well, and it's not done obvious. It's very subtle, but it needs to be hammered out in the player's guide and the monster manual and Vola's Guide to Monsters and Santos' Guide to everything. Like, it needs to be... Mm-hmm. Your alignment cannot be dictated by your race. Like, it's not right. It's not right. And I understand where the issues come from. I would like to see them then go back and update all of these books with new pressings. Like, anything that has an orc in it, like, it needs to be reprinted so that their alignments are changed at the bare minimum.
Yeah. We've plugged it many times before. Matt Colville's running the game series on YouTube is extraordinary. And one of my favorite episodes was the one about alignment. And there's a couple that kind of follow it as a result of the sort of controversial topic. But his perspective on alignment was very eye-opening for me, and I absolutely loved it. And it really he just lays down how alignment should not be, the dictation of your personality, but rather your personality is the dictation of your alignment, which makes alignment extremely fluid at all times. It should ideally constantly change, because if you are progressing as a character, as a person, growing, shrinking, what have you, that changes your perspective, your attitude, and how you approach everything, and therefore your alignment should adjust accordingly. Which is why, you and I have both had a couple great moments here and there where it's like, people have made decisions and the DM goes, that right there, that very particular thing, if you feel confident that's what you're going to do, that's an alignment shift. It has to be an alignment shift. And I've seen you do it, and I know I've done it. And it's a cool moment. At least it is in my opinion. And it's not the GM forcing you to be something different. It's rather the GM's indicating that, hey, what you've done here has made a change in your character, and you need to acknowledge that. So I think that's one of the healthiest ways to look at it, and that's what Wizards has not done to support. Even we harp on Wizards a lot for its vagueness in many respects, especially in its support of in particular the DM role, but. This is a very particular topic that has been a hot topic for a very long time, and is the one that needs to be interpreted and solidified the most, in my opinion, in order to, especially as a first step to walk back this extremely problematic approach.
Yeah, it cannot be stated enough that this is problematic. You're painting a race with an alignment. Mm-hmm. And, I can't speak for representations in Eberron or Ravnica or Mytheros or any of that stuff, because I don't purchase those books. I don't read them. But how they've been tweaked and some of the walkbacks in Tasha's is clearly a reaction, and that sucks. Like, there's ample opportunity to be proactive, and they didn't do it, and then their reaction was bad, and they're just kind of doing it slowly, and I guess they're hoping nobody notices, but...
But there's so many people playing. There's so many people playing 5e.
Yeah, you don't think I just picked up Rime of the Frost Maiden and noticed that kobolds were okay in town? Like, you don't think I made that correlation? Like, oh, okay, right. This is the thing you're doing now. Like, it's... Anyway, all that being said... I do understand there being a need for a faceless evil army a la Stormtroopers, Cobra Vipers, Hydra. I get it. Mm-hmm. Tolkien got it. I also know there's no justifiable rationale for making every member of a race the same. You need to ensure that you include some sort of representation for literally any other style of behavior. Otherwise, you, as a DM, we're not even talking about Wizards anymore, you are running a racist game. Right. It's fine if you have an army of evil orcs, but there also has to be representation for orcs that aren't evil in your game. Otherwise, your game is racist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you haven't built it racist, but that's how the players have seen it.
It's not far off from the perspective that every single person in Germany in World War II was a Nazi horrible person. It's just simply not true.
Yeah, and it's harmful. It's detrimental. And some of these are beliefs that, like, I know this is just a fantasy game and we shouldn't be getting bent out of shape in it, but we're giving people an excuse to populate their bad behavior into our fun. And I cannot stand by and allow that excuse to happen.
Yeah,
I
agree.
It's not okay. These people need to be shut down, or you need to be educated and learn a little bit more and change your style of player and change your representation. And
That's
life is we're always learning, we're always changing. This is two white men talking about the subject of race. Like we are not the right people to handle this topic.
And and we are allies at the end of the day, and we have consciously made the decision based on what, and it's what you just said. Education is the key. Being educated, being aware, not being ignorant, and not just simply saying, seeing something in a book and going, well, it says that, therefore I'm justified. There's just always a much larger picture, which is probably at the end of the day my biggest beef with the lack of support in, say, a gymming position, or in these particular instances, especially with the options for a character being built by a PC.
Well, to quote Matt Colville again, the map is not the territory. So what that means is the book in your hand is the map. That is a representation of the territory, but it's not actually. The territory is your game. Right. Like, the book is not your game.
Everything James is saying here, I feel like I should say I'm in full support of myself. It is an extremely delicate and complex topic, and it is absolutely our responsibility, we both feel, to touch on it and make sure that it is known where we stand. That being said, I think we may have some positivity to lead out on. Maybe.
Yeah. So our longtime listeners will know that we're both big proponents of Pathfinder, specifically Second Edition. It's my favorite game on the market right now. I know it's yours as well, and it's a lot of fun to play and GM, and it is a newer game, so it's a little more sensitive. So they do address stuff like this in Orcs, so you can play an Orc as well, and also have some problems there. But one of the lines here is Orcs often struggle to gain acceptance among other communities who frequently see them as brutes. And again, that's better-ish, but now they're painting other races with a wash of subtle racism. Now you're informing me of my opinion of this race before I've even had the opportunity to form one. I don't know how to fix this or change this, but maybe just not having that sentence there would have been enough.
I do have some thoughts on that, but I don't know if you want to go on first with more of what you have here, because I'm going to touch on a couple things after. No, I'd say you continue for now. Just continue with the representation of Orcs in Pathfinder 2nd Edition as you see it and have researched, and I'll touch on it when you're done.
Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about is another quote we have here, and it's Orc culture teaches that they are shaped by challenges to survive, and the most worthy survive the hardships. Orcs who attain both a long life and great triumph command immense respect. So this is a statement on the culture, not how the culture is viewed, which is I think is what I'm getting at with with my problems with the initial one, is that we just need to cut out the swathing of perspective, because these are racial profiles. That's what they are. Yeah. So telling players how other people see them or how they are is not okay. Here's a statement about Orc culture. That is fine. That's an acceptable statement. But saying here's Orc culture, and all other races are kind of hate you because you're big and dumb. Yeah. That's not okay. And I know you have some stuff you wanna go over, so I'd love to give you space to do that now.
Yeah, so the only thing is, and this is very much me avoiding being an apologist, but giving, which is I know very rare of me, but also giving the benefit of the doubt to Paizo, because they have deliberately gone out of their way to walk back and address these issues, but at the same time, they have a world that exists in a way that Forgotten Realms doesn't in 5e, or Eberron doesn't in 5e, in that it's, when Pathfinder First Edition started, they had the world of Galarian and they built it, 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 and that was like, what, as far back as 2009 or something like that?
I honestly don't know. I think it might even be earlier, but
yeah, right. It could be. And then second edition came out in August of 2019, so about 2 years ago now. And the shift in tone, as far as I know, I haven't played a tremendous amount of Pathfinder First Edition or read as much lore as I have in Second Edition, but their approach was, their world continues. The mechanics changed, and the rule sets changed, but the world is still following the same timeline. And they can't just, from a writing perspective, scrap a bunch of things. I mean, they can, but I understand why they wouldn't just go, oh, let's pretend none of that happened. Because they have a massive world that is literally affected by players through the Pathfinder Society stuff, and adventure paths and stuff like that. And so, to some degree, you have this sort of concept of, communities who frequently see them as brutes. Well, even though it's not explicitly said, maybe it should be, that would be because of the historical reputation of the orcs of, like, say, Belkzen in particular, in that part of Galarian. And their representation would be world famous, quite literally, because it's such a massive conflict for, I don't even know, centuries, millennia, literally, and how they operate in, say, Belkzen, I believe would fit quite a bit in with how they seem to be represented in 5e, and how they're probably represented in Tolkien, with the Fellowship in particular, and that sort of thing. And so there is this element of history and what you might consider common knowledge, even if it's not accurate, that skews and influences the perspective of, again, communities, as it says, who frequently see them as brutes. And what I have come to appreciate with the descriptions in Paizo's approach with the races, not just orcs, but the other races as well that are usually represented as humanoid but evil, is that they have gone out of their way to give a little more insight on the culture and community of those creatures. Because at the end of the day, you're more likely to find these creatures with their own, because, and orcs maybe being the major exception, generally there's not a whole lot of biological ability to actually interracially breed. So, and the other ones I'm talking about are things like kobolds, hobgoblins, goblins themselves, gnolls as well. And so they have their own cultures, albeit, culture always exists in certain pockets across any widespread world. But, I personally appreciate their emphasis on culture. The addressment, like, to me, that phrase that when you started with is an addressment of what they have been represented as. But as they dive further into the culture of the orc, you start to realize how much that first line is a misconception. And I think that's been Paizo's strategy, is to say, here's how the world kind of sees them. Problematic, right? Well, here's how they are. And here's how they are, and here's why you can see why people might have the wrong idea. But the point is, it is the wrong idea. And I think that's been the strategy so far. And is it the perfect, quickest, best solution? So very up for debate. So very. But it is a much larger step forward than we've seen from Wizards so far. So, to give a couple more examples, goblins in Pathfinder 2nd Edition are now a base ancestry, as they call them now, instead of race. and they have become much more widespread in sort of metropolitan communities and parts of the world, and more accepted, and they've just become more assimilated, for lack of a better word. Emphasis on that one, but Gnolls in particular, I've really enjoyed they just recently expanded on them with a book about the Mwangi Expanse, and how their culture emphasizes efficiency. That's it. And because of that, people around them will see them as something they aren't. And especially if they are unfamiliar in an intimate degree with the culture. So Gnolls don't see honor as a good thing. They see it as a pointless risk, essentially. They don't believe in wasting time on anything. However, they are a bit warlike, so they seek victory, or maybe better put, success. And that is their whole point. They are practical and pragmatic. Not the sort of thing you'd expect as descriptors for what is, especially what we covered in November. These descriptors of practical and pragmatic and efficient being their primary cultural cornerstones. But when it comes to war, that means they do not waste time on mercy. But they also don't waste time on cruelty either. They do not shy away from things that get them towards their goal. Virtue and belief and all that takes a backseat towards their goals. And you can see why in certain instances, suddenly you might go, oh, these creatures are awful, horrible, blah, 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 because they are not afraid to do awful, horrible things to achieve their goals. But it's not that they are strictly evil and horrible and bloodthirsty and just for the sake of it, and it really adds a level of complexity and depth to their culture and to who they are, and what they represent, and again, this is culture. This is not an inborn thing per se, although they do suggest it a little bit. In particular, they suggest it a bit with kobolds. So as another example, who tend to have, they know they have a draconic ancestry in general, because they are draconic creatures, and they very much go out of their way to sort of follow a leader that they see that might represent them the best. In particular, if they happen to find a really powerful dragon, that would probably delight them quite a bit, because there's this sort of ingrown sense of belonging, probably. But as an ancestry, as a group, and this one's maybe a little bit more biological. They tend to be very wary and have a lot of self-preservation, and which makes them shy away from society, and as a result, they become a bit opportunistic. They're kind of scavengers in that result. They themselves feel as though they might not fit in. And so the cultures that frown upon them do so because they have put themselves in that position, not because the culture or the society around them, the civilization around them, has forced them into it per se, which is just a sort of inverse of the classic trope that's problematic. But in the right tone, does sort of work. But they also have this. It's described as a sense of knowing what a proverbial sinking ship is. So even if they're following a leader that they think is worth following, if things are really going south, they know when to hightail it. That self-preservation really sinks in and sticks with you. And so you can see why a culture might think them as cowardly and cowardly thieves. But that's not just necessarily the case. So that sort of cross-referencing and comparing the way some of these ancestries and or races have been written in second edition for Pathfinder, I am fairly stoked about I think the representation is certainly much better. It's more thought provoking, which I think is the most important part. Rather than just saying, "Hey, everyone's no one's evil across the board," that you'd almost think that should be obvious, So they don't do that. Instead they give you more to ponder, more to think about, more directions to look at something from, and so on and so forth. But in any case, that's my piece on the Paizo representation.
Yeah, it's good. It's all incredibly interesting, and it's all well done. I like what Paizo's doing across the street there. I still take issue with the fact that they're either I mean, again, this is all paraphrasing and memory, but I think they're either being too specific or not specific enough. Let's go back to that orc quote that I started with. The orcs often struggle to gain acceptance among other communities who frequently see them as brutes. It's not. Again, I think it's either too specific or not specific enough. You could have stopped at orcs often struggle to gain acceptance among other communities. That would have been enough.
Right.
You don't need to tell me why. I understand. I understand where that sentiment comes from. And if I don't, that's great. That is amazing. You can dream up all of these new ideas all on your own. Or you need to finish that sentence with other communities who frequently see them as brutes, comma, due to the conflict in the holds of Belkzen.
Right.
So that way you're specifying it's on Galarian.
Right.
Because not every game takes place in Galarian. So like it's in this weird middle ground that is good. Like it's better. But either be less specific or be more specific when you're talking about how other communities view them. Yeah. Because we're still talking about wide swaths of beliefs. That's really my only critique.
Yeah, I'm following what you're saying. I would imagine, and it's I'm guessing you would side on that it's a dangerous assumption. But I think Paizo's assumption is that if you're reading this, it's in the world of Galarian. Like that's a given.
It is 100%. Like they are trying so fucking hard to get this right. Like that's very clear. Is that they're putting real thought and effort into this. I don't want to take that away from them. And it's clearly implied that it's taken place in Galarian, but it's not written as far as I've seen.
It's good because the moment you said that, they do not include the actual history, why that's the case because of said history in Belkzen.
Yeah.
But as soon as you said that, I thought, I don't think I've ever noticed a single line in especially in these more basic ancestries and that sort of thing, where they ever mention a territory or part of the geography of Galarian. And now, if you get into some of the other ancestries where there are actually breakdowns of nationalities and tribes and that sort of thing, they do get to a little bit more specific.
Some of them do, like they're found in the Inner Sea region, or Shuni are found on the Isle of Kortos. Like some of them do.
Some of them do. Yeah. It really honestly, that depends on what book you're looking at. So this is where I think I haven't read enough to really touch on it in full critique or review. But that's from the Orcs are from the Advanced Player's Guide, which is considered a core rule book. It's basically the same as Xanathar's Guide or the core rule book itself, or the Player's Handbook, or what have you.
And that's where my issue stems with not being specific, because that is designed for use in any game.
Yeah, Hobgoblin's coming from a book called the Lost Omens series, and in particular the Ancestry Guide. And they are specifically talking about it. Those books are all about talking about Galarian, the world itself, and building upon it. And that's when you get the breakdowns. You have breakdowns of the different cultures. Like Hobgoblins have the Bandu Fleet, the Cowling, the Oprak, the Rocklow. And they all have their own cultures and stuff like that. So it's much more divvied up based on geography across the world. It is, at the end of the day, very much a shame they have not given that sort of love to all of them. And then it's pretty clear that they've given more love to depending on what style of book they've been plugged into. And from that perspective, I'm with you. I'm absolutely on your side with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're going to create a generic rulebook for your game, you need to remove who frequently see them as brutes. It's orcs often struggle to gain acceptance among other communities. Let me decide why.
Why? Yeah, for sure.
But if it's the player's guide to Galarian, it's orcs often struggle to gain acceptance to other communities who frequently see them as brutes due to their history of conflict in the holds of Belkzen. Like again, it's better. It's a million times better. And I'm not trying to shit on Paizo, but it's like you could have saved money by typing less and had a more effective sentence to me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Again, white man don't really get a say in the racial war. Other than that, we are doing it wrong.
Last summer, during the Black Lives Matter protests, they had their own big snafu they had to address big time with a major project they released with one of their adventure paths. So even with their efforts, they are still learning the hard way. I'm just glad they're learning,
Yeah, and this is going to forever be a learning curve. And we've seen progress from Paizo, which I appreciate because we haven't really seen it addressed by Wizards, which is the whole point of this little offshoot.
Yeah, well, there's your question mark ending on a positive note that I posited earlier. So,
yeah, I mean it's better.
It's better.
Like that's all I really have to say. At the end of the day, it's up to you and what kind of game you're going to run. This is your table. The map is not the territory. The player's handbook, Xanthar's guide, Pathfinder's advanced player's guide. They do not tell you what kind of game you're going to run. You do not have to run these games. Rules is written. You don't have to run them to the letter of the law. It is your table, and it is your responsibility to dispel these stereotypes, whether or not Wizards and Paizo give us the tools to do so. That's what it comes down to, and that's more what I want this episode to end on is that it's your game as always, and I want you to homebrew the shit out of this. You know what I mean? Like it's so easy not to fuck this up, and it's been fucked up for 60 years.
Well, let's just say you say it's not easy. Or sorry, you say it's easy to not fuck it up, but that's where education comes in. It's kind of like saying there's no such thing as a stupid question. Of course, there's such thing as a stupid question, except a stupid question usually comes from ignorance, and that can be corrected with education and moving forward. So, are some of these things better? Yes. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. Should we be happy they're better? Of course. Should we be content where they're at? No. And because of all of these things are constantly flowing and changing and being understood as we go, we should just always seek to be better. Always be seeking to be better. In all of our games, in all of our writing, in all of these systems, we should just find things that are better, appreciate them, but find a way to continue to improve and be better from those positions.
Chances are, if you're listening to this, you are trying to do those things. We are
ideally,
essentially a comedy podcast, but we're the whole point of the show is to entertain and educate.
Yeah.
Like we're doing this to learn ourselves. Like we're not covering these episodes to teach you guys. These are conversations between us that for some fucking reason you guys just happen to want to listen to.
Yeah.
Like this is us trying to be better people and better dungeon masters.
Yeah, that was always the core concept when James first presented this idea to me, and it was we should take turns educating each other on these creatures, and that's always been part of the foundation, and it's that concept I think has grown a little bit more beyond just learning about that stat block, and it's been really, really great. And I guess it's a pretty good example of what I maybe just said, that we should just keep moving onward and upward, never really stopping that trend. So we're glad you're listening to us educate each other, and hopefully you are here to learn as we do.
And if you want to see us stumble through some older episodes, you can find those on encounterthis.ca. If you want to get in touch with us directly, you can shoot us an email at info@encounterthis.ca. Instagram, we're on encounter.pod. Twitter and Facebook, we're at encounterpod. And I feel weird plugging the Patreon on this one, but we're at patreon.com/encounterpod. So get in touch with us. If anything struck a chord, please, if we fucked any of this up, please, for the love of God, let us know. Yep. This is the one episode I really want to hear critiques. I want you guys to get at us from the audience, because honestly, I'm not really qualified to handle this subject.
Yeah.
At all. So
again, we are allies. We are not representatives.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, that can't be stressed.
Yeah. Cannot be stressed enough. Yeah.
So I don't want to speak for anybody, but most of what I've said has either been direct quotes from either Wizards, Paizo, or some of these articles, again, that will be linked in the show notes, or have been my opinion. They are in no way representative of anyone else. And I guess that should be mentioned on this show in case I really did fuck something.
I'm reasonably sure we're okay. We've done our due diligence and our best efforts as of right now. But I mean, add us if you feel like we can course correct in something.
Yeah,
we missed,
please,
for sure.
I want to learn.
Absolutely.
We want to learn. We want to grow. We want to be better people and better allies.
Yeah.
So if you've got a way that we can do that, hit us up on one of those platforms. If not, thank you for making it all the way through this lovely suite of Orctober. This really was a labor of love for me between the topics, the creatures, the expositions. I really enjoyed all of it. And sitting back, listening to Freeman do his episodes on Orcs and Rocks was fantastic. And this has been probably the most rewarding suite we've done for me.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
Hopefully you enjoyed it too. We're going to take a couple of weeks off and go back to our regular scheduled episodes. So you will hear back from us again in 2 weeks.
Keep on rocking in the free world. I don't know why. That's a popped in my head.
Yeah, that's fine. Hello there, creatures. James coming at you at the end. Thank you so much for sticking with us all the way through Orctober. I'd just like to give a big thank you to all the players in the suite, because without them, this never would have come together. A huge thank you to Jessica Zecker as Neff the Sunder, Scott Barber as Mobad the Orog, Duncan Forbes as Garok the Warmaker, and Freeman Eiston as my co-host and the Elder. And one last big thank you to you listeners for giving us 2 fantastic years. Without you, we would never would have made it this far, and we're grateful for every second of it. We hope you enjoyed Orctober. This was a big labor of love for me. And you'll hear from us again in a couple of short weeks with a regularly scheduled episode.